Hello and welcome to Grand Prix Minneapolis. I'm Randy Bueller. I'm here with Jake Van Lunen. We are ready for round 6. We're going to be watching the match between Eric Froelich and Nicholas Heel. We do not know exactly what decks these guys are playing, so we get to play the game of, like, you know, your opponent, do you know what he's at? I think we know where Nicholas Heel is at. Right, turn 1 Goblin Guide, sees a Spell Skite. We know, certainly looks like he's going to be on the burn deck, right? He's probably trying to Lava Spike and just deal 20 as quickly as he possibly can. Eric has shown us Spell Skite and Serum Visions. What do you think he's on at this point?
I'm going to say Splinter Twin.
Sounds plausible. It's not guaranteed, but that's probably where I would put him too. I saw Cryptic Command in his hand. He could be blue-white-red control at this point. He could be, I mean, and you can have a twin deck that's sort of halfway in between those if you want to. Goblin Guide continues to crunch over. This one's going to give Eric a free land. Ah!
Ooh.
I thought there weren't going to be any Journeying into Nyx cards.
Well, I mean, we must have been mistaken because that's
Eidolon,
a pretty good card.
Yes, Eidolon of the Great Revel. So every card that Eric plays, which costs 3 or less, is going to cost him 2 life.
Correct.
Cool.
It's a good one.
It's a very good one. And here we see just how strong it is. I mean, Eric, now he's going to have to bolt that main phase, going down to 14 here.
Right, so I mean, it dealt 2 and traded 1 for 1. And that's kind of the worst case scenario for that card, right? Force your opponent to kill it and they still take damage. Another free land.
You probably sat on 3 today, right?
It looks like Eric's going to have to start discarding pretty soon.
Wow, Shrine of the Burning Rage. Is that a typical choice in the burn decks?
It is not.
I mean, I draft that card in Cube all the time.
It's a powerful spell.
It is one of the best cards you can get if you want to draft the mono-red burn deck in the Magic Online Cube. I like it here. I mean, it could be quite powerful. I mean, it does a ton of damage to the Cube. Why wouldn't it work in Modern?
Yeah, I mean, if game goes a little bit long, that's a very real game plan.
Right, so it's going to get a counter every turn, and it's going to get a counter every time Nicholas plays a red spell. And then 3 mana, at some point, you cash it in, you deal damage equal to the number of counters. So it's just, tick, 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 kind of a time bomb.
The Shrine of the Burning Rage is just something that it's a type of inevitability that is so strong, especially against a lot of the control decks. You know, they just can't really beat it. They don't have a main deck way to get it off the table.
So Rift Bolt is going to come off suspend and deal 3. That also puts a second counter on the Shrine. So, I mean, Eric down to 9, and Goblin Guide keeps chipping away. No, Deceiver Exarch taps the Goblin Guide and threatens to block it on future turns. Pretty much confirms your read of Eric on Splinter Twin. Lightning Bolt the Deceiver and Forked Bolt to finish it off and deal 1 to you. Eric down to 8.
And the Shrine already at 4 counters.
It's too bad. I mean, if Forked Bolt hadn't been a... Well, the Goblin Guy was tapped anyway, so Forked Bolt being a sorcery didn't matter there. Now what, Eric? Still got that annoying Goblin Guide over there. Is Nicholas out of cards now?
Looks like he might have 1 left.
Oh, Spell Skite's a good one. Spell Skite, and there's even blue mana up. Yeah.
Ooh, Twisted Image in Eric's deck, too.
This just essentially looks like the same list Shahar had, probably.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Nicholas sent Goblin Guide into the Spell Skite. Eric, yeah, he's correct to just block, but 2 damage on it meant Nicholas could finish it off with a Lightning Bolt, and now look at that Shrine. 6 damage. Nicholas is threatening lethal next turn. Goblin Guide plus the Shrine will be at 7. And if Eric deals with a Goblin Guide, Shrine will be at 8.
It's going to be interesting. I mean, Eric can bounce that Shrine back to Nicholas' hand using
That
Cryptic
is true.
Command.
Cryptic Command, the bounceability on Cryptic Command seems very relevant.
That's definitely a line that he has to think about here. He's getting an island untapped.
It's a 7. It knocks him to 7, just paying the life for the land.
Which is very relevant.
It means the Shrine alone is lethal next turn. What's he up to, do you think?
I think we're about to see, yeah, just a main phase Cryptic Command.
That seems pretty effective.
Yeah, it's quite strong.
Still a Goblin Guide, though.
You know.
It's interesting that he had to main phase the Cryptic Command because he didn't want Nicholas to have 3 mana to sack in his response. I think he would have preferred to tap Goblin Guide, bounce Shrine, but could not afford to let Nicholas untap.
Wow.
The lightning bolts keep coming.
Yeah. Bolt. So I think Eric has this, though. He goes to 2.
Does he?
Yeah, and then he draws the Pestermite, and then the next turn. Oh, no.
He has to survive a turn.
Yeah,
How does he survive a turn? I mean, Pestermite will tap the Goblin Guide, but that Shrine, 2 counters is good enough. Eric has the combo in his hand, right? He has a Splinter Twin. He has a Pestermite, but it takes 2 turns worth of mana, and you need your Pestermite to lose Summoning Sickness before the combo works. So he just needs to survive 1 more turn, and it looks like Nicholas can sack the Shrine for Xaxes. Eric's just trying to figure out how to bluff, what he can represent.
He has 6 lands. It's not good enough, huh?
I mean, there's no life gain in his deck, right? Oh, can he tap the Shrine? Is the Shrine tap sack? I believe the Shrine's activation is tap and sack. So by tapping it, Nicholas can't use it. Oh, Searing Blaze. That'll do.
That is it.
And Eric wasn't set up to combo anyway because Goblin Guide would attack, and Eric would be obliged to block with the Goblin Guide, so he still wouldn't be able to combo off on the next turn. So clever line of play that Eric found, but not good enough.
Yeah, the burn deck just keeps on pounding away.
How is this matchup in general?
I'd assume that. I mean, it's got to be very play draw dependent, right? They're both turn 4 decks.
Okay.
I think that the burn deck does what it does much more consistently.
Sure.
But post board, I mean, Eric gets to cash in a lot of these cards that might not be super relevant in the matchup.
He's got a couple Batter Skulls, which, if the game lasts long enough for that to be relevant, seems absolutely backbreaking.
Just completely take over.
It's a 5-mana spell, though. I mean, if the burn deck kills in 4.
Yeah, I mean, but he also has like bad cards in his deck. Like Rebuild is quite bad in the matchup.
Definitely.
Pestermite is very weak also.
You kind of need it for the combo, but yeah.
I mean, Pestermite's probably still better than Vidillion Click.
Twisted Image doesn't do much in this matchup, right?
No, not at all.
That seems like one of the most innovative things that Eric and Shahar, I don't know who exactly built the deck, but they both have this 3 main deck Twisted Image, which, I mean, its job is to kill Spellskite.
Yeah.
It's his primary job anyway, and oh, by the way, it'll kill a Hierarch, it'll kill a Bird of Paradise.
Yeah, Wall Roots, just switches things up a bit.
And it cycles.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I see the 2 Batter Skulls seem like they come in. A couple Dispels might come in. I mean, just having a mana-efficient way to counter a Lava Spike, counter a Lightning Bolt.
It seems fine. I mean, you can just, they have Searing Blaze. They have all these cards. I mean, I don't know if Nicholas will have Searing Blaze post-board, but.
Yeah, so Nicholas's list, Goblin Guide, Mog Fanatic, Vexing Devil, 4 Eidolons. Wow. Yeah, 4 Searing Blaze, 2 Shrines. Molten Rain in the main, I love it.
Oh, wow, I like his deck a lot.
I do too. Yeah, I like this deck.
Eidolon of Great Revels just seems awesome.
As far as sideboard decks, Pyrite Spellbomb, Dismember, Dragon's Claw. That's awesome.
The red mirror check.
Exactly. Relic of Progenitus. He's got a couple Smash to Smithereens that don't do anything. Is Blood Moon relevant here? Is Eric vulnerable to Blood Moon? He's got 5 islands in his deck. He's sideboarding Blood Moon. He doesn't seem super vulnerable to it. No, I think, like, Nicholas's deck has got its plan. I think you just shuffle it up again. Like, I'm not sure I sideboard a card here. None of your sideboard cards do. I mean, maybe you probably want the Dismembers.
Yeah, I think you want Dismember.
You want 2
Dismembers.
Dismembers.
It kills the Exarch
but
pretty well.
busts up the combo. You can kill whatever they're putting the Splinter Twin on, dies to Dismember. So you probably do want the two of those.
I mean, he gets played with Lavamancer too. His deck actually can play a long game very effectively.
Forked Bolt seems bad in this matchup.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you do 2 Dismembers in for the 2 Forked Bolts.
Seems right.
I want to see Molten Rain do damage.
Like game 1 done.
I always thought Stone Rain was underrated. Back in the day.
It is.
Stone Rain it's just it's pretty disruptive, straight up, to just deny your opponent a land. You set them back a turn, you advance your mana, you sort of advance your board. But you also, like, I feel like every time I cast a card like Molten Rain or Stone Rain, I get to roll a die, and like, if they roll a 1, and they needed the mana, like, you just mana screwed them. You just win the game. There's like 1d6 to win the game.
As a younger kid, I used to play Stone Rain for control mirrors. I used to have it in my sideboard. And looking back on that, that's pretty awesome that I knew that. Like, hitting land drops was important.
Pro Tour Chicago, the first Pro Tour I played, was also Mike Turian's first Pro Tour. He finished top 32 with a deck that had Stone Rains in it. He was just like red-white, kind of, Wildfire Emissary, Stone Rain. Just kind of came into format from an angle people weren't expecting, where, he could kill their stuff, he could blow up their lands, he had reasonable threats.
And, like, not much of the removal hit Emissary. Yeah,
no, he didn't die to Lightning Bolt or Swords of Plowshare, so very resilient threat. I think he had Phyrexian War Beast in that deck, too, if I'm not mistaken. Another 3/4. That deck was an Eric Lauer special. It was literally built in the car on the way to the Pro Tour. And Mike was like, Mike did not want to play the Necro deck. He just was not a Necro player. He didn't want to play. We had Eric Lauer played a counterpost deck, played blue-white control with Contour and Outposts. Mike was not playing that, so Eric essentially brainstormed a deck on the drive to Chicago, which Turian took to top 32. Is Ifro going down to 5 cards?
It looks like he's going down to 5 cards now.
Yeah, this matchup didn't look great for him anyway. I mean, he is on the play this time, so he can just combo kill faster than Nicholas can burn him down from 20, but that seems really hard to do from 5 cards.
It's definitely possible. I mean, if he has 4 lands, an Exarch, and a Splinter Twin involved in his first 8 cards, then
Ifro, ever the stoic, just kind of staring across. It's almost like he spent a lot of time developing a good poker face.
Yeah, he does have a good poker face.
He is in fact a professional poker player. Goblin Guide. That is the turn 1 Nicholas wants.
It's also the turn 1 Eric wants here, I think.
True. No, the free land is nice. Yeah, sort of start to unmulligan him. Second Goblin Guide.
Trigger.
1 land. And a Cryptic Command for later.
14, correct?
He's back at 7 cards now.
Yeah.
He didn't mulligan.
He just missed with Goblin Guide 3 times, right?
Yeah. His opponent just got 2 power haste guys for 1 mana,
Still Forkbolt in Nicholas's hand.
Oh, so it's in his deck.
Mog Fanatic, another underrated card.
I feel like Mog Fanatic, I haven't really seen it see any play since the damage on the stack rule went away.
But the thing is, when the card first came out, you couldn't put damage on the stack then either. Like, when it was in Standard, when, Dead Guy Red was all the rage, Mog Fanatic just did what Mog Fanatic does now, and it was arguably the best 1-drop of all time. 10 years ago.
Yeah. Since then, we've had a few that might be better.
Some good 1-drops. Oh, the Shrine is back.
If you're interested, sign up for the 2-headed giant seal. We have opened the registration.
Interesting. Pre-combat Shrine.
If you're interested in signing up for the
now he wants to attack.
Seal, we are open registration a little early, so please come up to stage to register.
5? I'll take this land. Oh, Splinter Twin. Wow, so if Ifro has... If he has a Pestermite or an Exarch in his hand, we know he's got another land. He just wins, right? He gets Dismember
with
is
an
the threat?
Exarch. Well, not only Dismember, but also...
Oh, Pestermite's not good enough because Mog Fanatic will just kill it.
Exactly.
Like, untapped red mana would already make it sketchy, but Mog Fanatic means it's dead on board.
Yeah, and Mog Fanatic in conjunction with Bolt can even kill Exarch. Kind of thing.
So Eric has decided to play Vendilion Click. We are in combat, but we are before blockers. Eric has chosen to click himself because he had a bonus copy of Splinter Twin that wasn't doing anything. Nicholas said, I don't want to let you block one of my Goblin Guides. I'm willing to just use my Mog Fanatic to kill your Vanillion click before blockers. Now the 2 Goblin Guides will get through. Eric will take 4. Forked Bolt U. It's no Lava Spike, but he's actually doesn't have Lava Spike in his list. He's chosen to run it instead of Lava Spike. I guess killing creatures comes up in some matchups.
Yeah, probably pretty relevant sometimes. Especially if you're playing against Birthing Pod and things like that, it's probably pretty nice to be able to kill a couple of mana guys.
Absolutely. So Eric does not have the X-Arc, is essentially where we're at. If he'd had the X-Arc, I think he would have just gone for the win there. He's basically going to stall and try to draw it. Tap your guys and draw a card. Defending his last 8 points of life. Vexing Devil. Which land is that?
Keldon Megaliths?
What does Keldon Megaliths do?
I believe it's the Hellbent ping land.
Oh, my.
So when he has no cards left in his hand, he can pay a colorless and a red and tap the land to deal 1 damage to target creature or player.
And meanwhile, Vexing Devils. Jeez. Bold for another counter on the Shrine. So the Shrine is lethal next turn. Now what,
Keldon
Eric?
Megaliths is kind of a sweet one.
Anger. Oh, and the Ancient Grudge. Wow, what
Stabilized.
a turn.
But that Keldon Megaliths pecking away.
Jeez. Yeah, so he used the Megaliths on his upkeep while he was Hellbent. Nicholas is Hellbent. He has no cards in his hand, which allows him to ping with the Keldon Megaliths. Eric couldn't afford to pay for the Vexing Devil, so it's just doing its thing. Uh-oh. Here's X-Arc. Is that Dismember?
It is.
It's got to be Dismember. Wow, so Eric had the X-Arcs threatening to kill. Tap your Devils, untap, kill you, but the 1 card Nicholas drew last turn was a Dismember. Crazy. Now what, Eric? Kiki Jiki looks like a chump blocker to me.
Yeah.
And here's my other Shrine. Wow. There's the hand. Nicholas Heel. Mono Red Burn. Doing
Mono
work.
Red Burn did it.
Wow.
It's not even really burn though. You know, the burn deck is all about Lava Spike and
he's got a lot of
Bump
creatures.
in the Night.
No,
Like,
you're
he's
right.
got a lot of guys. He's Grim Lavamancering. He's Mog Fanatic. He's Vexing Devil.
Shrine.
Like, he is
Molten Rain. I mean, it's still essentially a burn deck,
Oh
right?
yeah, I mean it's a burn deck. But
it is 1-drop creatures. Eidolon of the Great Revel is the only creature that costs more than 1. And then, I mean, sure, it's Forked Bolt rather than Lava Spike, but it's still fundamentally a burn deck.
Shrine of the Burning Rage and Molten Rain. Molten Rain is a
There you go.
card we don't see in many burn decks.
I like it. That list looks nice.
Yeah, it looks very nice to me.
So now we've got Craig Wesco is on the left of your screen. I'm going to guess this is game 2.
Book that street.
Looks like they're getting cranked up on game 2. Hopefully we'll get some news about game 1. What is going on the right-hand side?
So there's a Kasali Pride Mage in play in his hand there. That is a Knight of the Reliquary, a Path to Exile, another Kasali Pride Mage, and a Thunder Maw Hellkite.
Nice.
So we're talking about a big zoo deck on the right here.
Got it.
And black-white tokens for Craig here on the left.
Yeah, Craig's playing essentially the same deck they played at the Pro Tour, right?
You guys both 5-0.
That is his kind of deck.
Yeah, I don't think this is exactly the way he played it at the Pro Tour. He's gone much more disruptive.
Castigate.
Wow, yeah, he's just gone heavy on discard.
Yeah, and I mean, that seems reasonable to me. I mean, as
If
we
you're expecting
spoke
a
about
field full
earlier,
of combo.
we talked about the prevalence of combo in the format, and you know, 4 Thoughtseize, 4 Inquisition, 4 Castigate. That is so much disruption. 12 targeted discard spells.
That's crazy.
Yeah, the top of his deck is horrible once he runs out of cards.
Yeah, you want to know what you don't want to play against with that deck, though?
Burn.
Big Zoo? Do you want to play against Big Zoo with your deck full of
No,
discard?
no, you don't.
I guess you'd rather play Big Zoo than Small Zoo.
No,
Yeah.
You gotta go.
But I mean, Craig's deck isn't fast.
You just stand and
He's
watch.
planning to just he's playing an attrition game. He's planning to trade card for card, bust up whatever combo shenanigans you had, and then Lingering Souls and Spectral Procession essentially give him card advantage in the mid game. Like, they can usually trade if you're attacking with affinity creatures. They can trade. They can hit your Planeswalker through the air.
Thundermaw Hellkite seems pretty good against Lingering Souls and Spectral Procession, though.
Yes. Yeah, the big list for...
that incidental text on the Thundermaw Hellkite that just destroys Craig's deck.
Well, here, Castigate's still good enough to have in game 2. And down goes Thundermaw Hellkite. Crazy. Yeah, this Big Zoo list is 1 Thrun, 1 Thundermaw, 4 Knight of the Reliquary, Nicodles, a couple Pride Mages, 3 Ooze, 4 Tarmogoyf, a couple Smiters. I didn't see Kibler's list, but this looks relatively similar.
Yeah, it's very similar.
To the side event area. Once again, Eric.
It might be exactly the same. It looks exactly the same. Maybe Kibler had an article.
Yeah, I wouldn't be at all surprised. Kibler would certainly, you know, he plays it pretty straight with his articles. He'll post his lists before he plays them.
Okay. I guess we'll shuffle again.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so Path to Exile takes out the Pride Mage. Anthony does have a couple of basics to go get.
Normally you'd be worried about ramping your opponent, but Anthony, you know, he's running long cards already, and
I mean,
the
Craig has
only
seen his
cards
hands plenty, right?
Yeah, I'm sure that that Thundermaw Hellkite that he plucked out of Anthony's hand is probably a 1 of at most, right?
Yes.
Okay.
1. Unless there's 1 on the board. It's 1 in the main, and yeah, just the 1 in the main. There's even 2 chokes in this sideboard. This has got to be Kibler's list.
Ooh, and a Mirror Crusader found to put underneath that Windbrisk Kites. Windbrisk Kites is a pretty interesting card. Now, normally it's pretty hard to activate that, but when you're a deck like Craig's, you have cards like Spectral Procession. So if he gets to attack with these 3 tokens, he gets to cast that Mirror Crusader for free.
Not bad.
It's just a nice little free card.
Pretty much like the way Craig drew it up. I didn't think this deck would do so well in this matchup, but he's up a game. He's destroyed his opponent's hand here in game 2. He's got 3 flyers, and he's going to get a free Mirroring Crusader. How big is Tarmogoyf?
Tarmogoyf is currently creature, land, sorcery, instant. 4/5.
Four, 5. All right. There go the 3 flyers from the Spectral Procession. And here's the Mirror Crusader.
And that matches up pretty nicely against that Tarmogoyf. Craig also still sitting on that Path to Exile, so even if some sort of shenanigans happen...
Anthony has a path as well, though, right? Thought I saw 1 in his hand.
Oh, so Anthony's path will get to eat that Mirror Crusader.
Yeah, I think that's how this plays out. Yeah, Anthony's just going to fire it off end step. He knows it's going to have to. No reason to wait and draw something else you want to spend your mana on.
Craig now with 5 lands in play, 2 cards. One of which is a path. Do we know what this other card is?
I don't.
Looks like it's just a plains.
4 die.
So.
You're good.
Sure.
Out of here. Okay.
Right. Now,
Go ahead.
now, it seems like Craig's ahead here, but, you know, the top of either player's library could just sway this game. Like, there's, right there, Knight of the Reliquary. I mean, that wins. Of course, there's forever for it, for things to change.
Yeah. Now Craig top decked another land. Craig was ahead, and then he failed that turn's top deck check. Anthony drew Knight. How big is the Knight?
think it's a 3-3.
19.
That's a 1 on that die.
Go ahead.
Yeah, fly over for 3. That makes sense.
Go there, Shredder.
All right, so Craig still, you know, he's just going to take 3 damage from this knight or more.
Oh, much better die. I like that one a lot better.
Yes.
Lightning
see it
bolt
more
came off the top
clearly.
of Anthony's deck. Now, he's got to decide how he wants to play this knight, right? I mean, because it can go fetch lands, making itself bigger. I mean, right now it's 4 attacks, but I guess the lightning bolt makes it 3 attacks. Like, is he better off attacking with it or using its ability to and growing it?
It's interesting because attacking with it right now, if you're attacking with it, you're just getting in for 3.
Right.
Putting your opponent at 7, they're not even in double bolt range. And then, you know, your opponent can just leave back jump blockers for when it actually matters, when they need to block.
Okay.
So,
I guess if he played to grow it, Craig would just leave a token back.
yeah.
So he's getting into 3 damage while he can.
Yeah, I guess that's his thought process. I think I would just leave it back.
Yeah?
Yeah, I
That's
think
what I was asking. Wow, another land for Craig.
Go. Sure.
It's certainly one of the things that essentially a discard deck, what Craig's running, is vulnerable to. You go through this early game flurry where you mess with your opponent's plans, you prevent them from implementing what they're up to, but you know, you hit a pocket of land in your deck and don't kill them, they get to keep drawing cards. You can't make them discard the top card of their library.
And what's worse yet is, I mean, if Craig draws a discard spell off the top of his deck, it's,
Yeah, it doesn't
you know,
do
it's
anything.
basically
at this
just a
point.
dead card.
All right, Knight of the Reliquary gets in for 3 more. So
All right.
Craig's at 4.
It looks like Craig's at 4, Anthony's at 8.
Anthony has a lightning bolt. Craig has nothing.
Well,
What does Craig draw here? How does he get out of this?
I mean, he could draw a spot removal spell, right?
Which is basically just path.
Yeah, basically, he can just draw a path. I mean, he could also just
You got
draw,
moved down
you know.
to 15. You move him down to 14 there.
Does that work? No.
Yeah, I don't know if Pure would have worked a turn ago, but it doesn't add enough to the clock anymore.
Hero.
Hero of Bladehold.
Yeah. And hero attack with 2 spirits is quite good.
There's 2 more, right?
Oh, the players have a discrepancy in the life totals, it sounds like? They're trying to figure out what exactly the life totals are.
Huh, so the life totals may actually be different than we believed them to be a moment ago.
We'll see.
3 from the attack.
Yes. Okay. So 4.
Yep.
I just missed it.
And you do
Right,
top
okay.
and bottom.
Oh, I have you at 8. 8? You have yourself at 7.
Did we move a damage over
Does Anthony have
somebody
more
else?
live cards in hand?
Because you've been hitting him for 3.
I don't know.
Yes. So you have it go
14, 11, 8.
19, 17
So you're up.
to 14 on the attack. You have 17,
Big
15.
I mean, Anthony has taken 3 4 times, right? 17, 14, 11, 8.
3, 3.
Make it up.
I think you're right there. And you took 2 land damage plus the shock land.
Anthony has had no shock lands. Oh, is there a shock land in his graveyard?
Yeah, because that was a fetch
Or
land.
fetch land in his graveyard?
There is a fetch land in his graveyard.
1 point.
Yeah.
You're at 4.
I think I just
You're at 8.
swapped her like double attacks.
Sounds like they've concluded 8 to 4.
So is
Okay.
that maybe take a minute? I don't know if we'll need it.
A Bird of Paradise was Anthony's draw for the turn.
A bird?
So he has that bolt in hand.
Toby
Looks
Elliott,
like it right
if you're
now.
available, please come to the stage.
Was that Path?
Toby Elliott.
No, it's another Spectral
Oh, it's another
Procession,
Spectral Procession. Interesting.
which is quite good.
Yes. He's able to attack for 3, dropping Anthony to 5. He's able to play 3 potential chump blockers. He can chump with 1. He's threatening lethal with the others, although Bird of Paradise will get in the way.
Yeah, so he doesn't quite have him.
Well, Craig's now winning.
Yes, he is winning.
It's going to take
on the
2
board.
turns. Is that
Nope. He drew the other bolt.
2 lightning bolts.
And that's it. And they're on to game 3.
Whiteboarded revised lightning bolts, but they still deal 3 damage.
They still do 3 damage. They work just as hard. For
I don't
half
know.
the price.
A whiteboarded
That's
revised
significantly less than half the price.
seems like, yeah. No, you got to go out of your way to get whiteboarded revised. It's like the ugliest printing in the history of the game.
Of Lightning Bolt? You think
Of
it's
Lightning
worse
Bolt.
than...
I mean, it's whiteboarded.
It is whiteboarded.
The revised printings, in my opinion, are just washed out relative to like 4th.
That's fair.
Like the graphic design got updated, the frames got cleaned up as time went on. Yeah, I think he went out of his way to find the ugliest printing. Wait, Juyong Park versus Conley Woods. I recognize those cards. It's Codex Shredder, of course. Everybody knows what Codex Shredder does. Pop quiz, what does Codex Shredder do?
Codex Shredder costs 1 colorless mana. You can tap it and mill,
Uh-huh.
right, for 1 or 2, and you pay 4 and you tap it and you regrowth. $5 and tap it and you regrowth.
There you go.
And
Tap sack,
sacrifice
yeah.
it. Yeah. Yeah.
But you know what? If you're playing a deck that only has 1 copy of its victory condition, sometimes you got to do things slightly suboptimally. I mean, it's an artifact that costs 1, so that's not awful. If Conley's deck, if you weren't here last round, is a Cart Clan Ironworks deck. So fundamentally, Cart Clan Ironworks is a 4-mana artifact that says you can sacrifice an artifact for 2 colorless mana. Every artifact in the deck can be sacked to generate mana. The goal is to do a giant Banefire. Like at some point, he just wants to make, he's going to ask his opponent what his life total is, and then make that much mana, and make a red, kill him. That's the plan. Now, the way he gets there is most of his artifacts give extra value, like their chromatic spheres or, all kinds of, Ichor Wellsprings, things that draw cards or make mana or both. Conley wins if he's able to set up a situation where he can sacrifice all those artifacts to generate cards and mana, and they can bring them all back with Faith's Reward, bring them back from the graveyard into play, repeating the cycle, and essentially going off all in 1 turn. Now, this game looks relatively deep. Is this game 3? Try to get your read. I'm just guessing based on how deep into the round we are. It's either a game 2 or a game 3. His opponent seems to be on, is that the Scapeshift list?
Yes.
Oh yeah, we talked about this.
Yeah.
This is the Scapeshift list that the Koreans are running.
Yeah, so, I mean, I believe this to be a really good matchup for the Scapeshift deck. And I mean, especially now that he's a Relic in play.
Yes.
I mean, he can kind of just sit there on the Relic for...
Yeah, how does Conley win if there's a Relic on the other side of the table?
I mean, he has to get it off the table somehow.
He has to either
Maybe
build
like
up a
needle
threatening
it or
enough
something,
graveyard
or-
that he can sacrifice his graveyard. I mean, essentially force his opponent to blow the Relic. Or
Make 3 white.
I gotta think that he's got Pithing Needle.
Yeah.
Trigger.
He has Echoing Truths in his sideboard. Does not have Pithing Needle. Right. Oh, if he has 2 of the bring stuff back from the graveyard, he can also do it. But
yeah,
he builds
'cause
up
you
a
can
big
respond with
graveyard.
Faith's Reward
He casts
after.
Faith's Reward, or you have to cast the Sorcery Speed one with Open the Vaults. So if he casts Open the Vaults, he gets his opponent to sacrifice the Relic. Then, as a response, he can Faith's Reward. But that's 10. It's only 10 mana.
Just 10 mana.
His opponent's playing counter spells and like a 1-card combo kill. This doesn't. I'm with you. This seems like a bad matchup for Conley. Yeah, Junyoung Park. Pretty straightforward, very good copy of the Scapeshift list. Did we figure out if this is game 2 or 3? Yeah, meanwhile, back to Craig. Craig Wesco, currently still the reigning block constructed Pro Tour champion, right?
Correct.
Won last season's block constructed PT in San Diego. Be trying to defend that title next week in Atlanta.
With Civic Saber in his deck, he won the Pro Tour.
And Judge's Familiar.
Yeah.
I guess Judge's Familiar has won 2 Pro Tours.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be
owl
one of the
that could.
It's got to be one of the worst cards to ever win multiple Pro Tours, right?
Yeah, I would say so.
Good enough. Inquisition of Kozilek. What do you take here? I like your tech of just being slow to answer.
Yeah, well,
waiting for the pro to make a decision.
Juan Medina.
Well,
Medina, please report to the
I
stage. Juan Medina.
The
I think
fact that
it's
there's
actually
2
somewhat-
copies of Tarmogoyf.
oh, and he has a Ruined Halo in his hand, so it's the most obvious
Oh,
Inquisition ever.
super sick.
Yeah, he gets to just Ruined Halo Tarmogoyf.
Tell everybody about Ruined Halo.
So Ruined Halo is an enchantment, and when it enters the battlefield, you get to name a card, and then you have protection from the named card.
So he can give himself protection from Tarmogoyf.
Correct.
It's pretty nice.
And here, this is nice. He's playing Castigate
Yep.
before playing the Ruined Halo. That
Oh,
way,
yeah.
he can take that Lightning Bolt, and his opponent's not going to respond by bolting him or anything. He actually gets a little bit of value out of the Castigate.
Right. What's Craig thinking about? If he really does have Ruined Halo in his hand, it seems pretty straightforward to take the Bolt. Your opponent will play Tarmogoyf. You'll play Ruined Halo. Your opponent is essentially out of gas. His opponent is down to land and blank cards.
He could be just, putting on a little bit of a show. He doesn't
Yeah,
wanna-
I think that was a little bit of Hollywood there. Essentially doesn't want to tip off his opponent to the fact that, oh, Tarmogoyfs are blank. I'm not worried about Tarmogoyf. I can agonize. I guess I'll take Lightning Bolt.
Ugh.
Yeah.
His opponent's like, oh, he must have a confidant.
You think I should have been?
I've got him figured
to
out.
try to mill enough mountains, maybe. I had nothing going on. I don't know.
That's what I would be thinking right now.
Sure.
If I was Anthony's here.
Makes sense? Yeah.
Man, I hope I draw a removal spell for that confidant.
I mean, that is a relevant part about tabletop Magic. I remember seeing an interview with Sam Black. Have you ever played the perfect game? Mike Turian has the same basic answer that Sam Black does. Actually playing a perfect game of Magic. Like, it's one thing to make all the correct decisions, but to actually play a perfect game of Magic, you have to pause for 5 seconds when
As
you want to
opposed to
represent one
3
thing,
seconds,
or 20 seconds to look like you're agonizing over a decision. What am I representing about my hand with the lengths of my pauses and the amount of agonizing and the facial expressions and. I mean, obviously, it's one thing just to not give tells, but to play optimally, you have to give you should try to give false tells, just not in a way that people know they're false tells. Anyway, I think Craig handled that pretty well. Down comes Tarmogoyf. I mean, probably doesn't matter, but still the right thing to do. We keep using dice that are illegible on camera. There we go. 3/4 Tarmogoyf.
All right, so Aaron Mesa just grabbing another basic planes. Do you think he plays the Ruined Halo just yet, or no?
I haven't seen what else is in his hand. I mean, I would rather play, say, Spectral Procession.
Ooh,
Or Mirren Crusader.
Yeah, that's a good one. So, I mean, he's only got the one Tarmogoyf to attack with anyway. He knows his opponent doesn't have a removal spell unless he had drawn it in a singular draw stab.
Right. What was that off the top?
I don't know. Here, do we have his list?
Big Zoo. There you go.
Could it be Eidolon of Rhetoric?
Wow.
It's going deep.
Which one is the Eidolon of Rhetoric?
It's the white one? No, it looked like a green card that he
Yeah, I
drew,
thought it
though.
was a green card.
Oh, Fracturing Gust, maybe? But why would he have that in his deck?
Because there's a bunch of flying spirit tokens on the other side of the table.
It's an interesting one. Excited to find out what it actually is. Oh, it might be the promo Scavenging Ooze.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes more sense than anything else we've discussed thus far.
Fracturing Gust is the artifact destruction one, right?
It's the Shatterstorm.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I do not recognize that art. It was
Yeah,
a 1-mana card. I figured that out. That's that a promo Nicodle?
Oh, promo
Wild
Wild
Nicodle.
Nicodle. Awesome.
Cool.
So, we're about to see Inquisition is nothing.
Yeah, no. I think he knew both those lands, in fact.
Did he?
I think so. I mean, the last two draw phases were the Lightning Bolt and the Nicodle, right? Oh, maybe there's one draw phase. It was unknown. Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
anyway,
it's
there's the Runed Halo turning off the Tarmogoyfs. So Anthony is down to a wild Nicodle.
And that might be a little bit rough to win with just a Wild Nicodle. He's your land, so now the best he can do is attack for 3, put Craig down to 13, but then he has to pass the turn back into Lingering Souls and does not look particularly good. Ruined Halo is a pretty cool card.
Yeah, I agree. Seems good here. Seems really good here.
Catch your opponent with the multiples of the same card. So he's an Honor of the Pure now also.
Mana Lingering Souls.
Yeah, now he's suddenly like Lingering Souls. When you have Honor of the Pure in your hand, is absurd. I mean, you put 5 mana in, you get 8 points of flying power across 4 bodies.
It's not bad.
That's like resilient to discard, mass removal, spot removal. Lingering Souls is a very real card. It's just
Greg's deck looks good here.
yeah, Craig's deck does look quite good. And this is, I don't think this is a matchup that normally you'd be happy to play against with all this discard, but
Right. That was my thought when we got here. I mean, it seems like he's built this deck to feast on combo. And like
Yes.
the mid-range creature deck is about as far from combo as you can get.
Black-White Tokens always just seems like a very good day 1 deck. Does that make sense?
It does.
I feel like once
does.
you get into the area where everybody like knows like how to like maneuver and like when to set stuff up and to just like kind of let you do your thing, it loses a lot of its power.
The good news for Craig is that he looks like he's closing in on 6-0, and he'll be on day 2 to test your theory.
Yeah, I mean, if you get to day 2 at 9-0, it's worth it to have been playing a day 1 deck, you know?
Yeah.
Because then it's not too hard to make it into those elimination rounds. And things do not look good for Anthony at this point. Does he have another Pride Mage? That would be very good for him.
Oh, wow. Yeah, blowing up Runed Halo would be huge. He does. Well, that changes things. Huh. Just attack with Wild Nicottle using the Exalted ability. Not interested in freeing the Nicottles yet.
Well, now he's going to have to use the Pride Mage to kill the Honor the Pure next turn.
Does he?
I mean, if Craig plays Honor the Pure, he will, right? Because
He only takes 8. Like, he can survive 1 hit. How much does he crack back for?
well, no, he'd be taking 10, right?
Oh,
Because-
double strike. I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah.
counting double strike. I was thinking Mirren Crusader would go to 4, but Mirren Crusader goes from dealing 4 to dealing 6.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Honor the Pure turns Craig's attack into a 10-pointer, and the ground creature has protection from green.
Brian Turk. Brian Turk, if you're in the room, please report to the judges station.
So Craig has to know that there's, you know, I guess the trigger's on board. But
Yeah, it's got to feel a little bit weird to play Honor the Pure into a face-up
Grand Prix
Kasali
contenders,
Pride
that is
Mage, but
nine in the round. Active player finish
it's
your
completely
turn.
correct
You have
here.
5 additional turns.
This is lethal, which obliges Anthony to blow up the Honor of the Pure, which means he gets to keep his Rune Halo. And then he's only being attacked with the Nicotttle for 3. Yep, pretty much forced.
yep, forced to use that Prime Mage, get rid of that Honor the Pure. Now he's only going to be taking 6 damage here. Still falling down to 3, though.
Yeah.
And with that Mirror Crusader having protection from green, he, again, needs to find a Spot Removal spell at the top of his deck, or he's just done. Craig
Now,
will
if he
move
can
on
kill
to
up the Rune
6-0.
Halo, is that good enough? 369. Yeah, Craig is. Tarmogoyf is also bigger. I wasn't sure. It didn't matter all that much.
Yeah, we did
If
that.
Anthony basically, he needs to kill either the Mirren Crusader or the Rune Halo. If the top card of his library does either of those things, then he's fine. Otherwise, Craig is very likely to win. Otherwise, Craig just does win.
All right, so
Craig willing to sack to get a land. Is he going to flashback Lingering Souls here? Make himself some chump blockers? Seems pretty smart.
yeah, I would.
Yeah, now he no longer loses to an enchantment removal spell off the top. Right, 2 chump blockers from Lingering Souls means
Legacy for duels players.
blowing up Rune Halo
Legacy for
just
duels players.
does not free the Tarmogoyfs.
Are up.
A lot of people might be hesitant to pay the life there, but Craig seems completely correct to me.
Oh, definitely. I mean, you've got this endless stream. Your opponent's not going to be playing any sort of like sweeping effect at all. It's out of the question.
Thundermaw Hellkite would be sweet.
Thundermaw Hellkite would be a complete and total blowout, actually. Or
Yeah,
he
it's
can
actually
test it.
not. It's not good enough. Oh no, it would be just barely good enough. 5 plus 3 is 8.
Yeah. Kill all the flyers.
What else can Anthony draw? Is he drawing to the 1 Thundermaw Hellkite?
I assume so.
Steve Port.
Yeah, it looks like the only thing he's drawing to is.
I mean, at this point,
Hellkite.
killing the Mirren Crusader is not good enough because the flyers are also lethal. Yeah, what he needs is something that can kill all the flyers and attack for like 5 power. If only there was a card, 5 power haste, kill all their 1/1 flyers.
Said you woke up feeling good about today. I really did.
If only it existed.
I have been in a very long time.
And was in his deck.
It's not going to change that.
That's a very Brian Kibler card, Thundermaw Hellkite. It doesn't really get more Brian Kibler than that. It's definitely on like the good end for a Kibler card, though, too.
All right.
All right, this is the draw step to decide the match.
What is it? What is it? It's green. That can't be good. I mean, Mirren Crusader's lethal, so
Jake Delanu.
if it can't kill a Mirren Crusader, then it has to kill Craig.
Yep, and that's likely going to be it. I assume that if Anthony had the card, if he's slow rolling Craig at this point, that would be pretty brutal.
Yes. Cool match, though.
Yeah, really cool match. I mean, this was really back and forth. It looked like Craig had game 2 locked up, and then Anthony was able to come back and
Craig kind of flooded out mid-game through land like 3 or 4 turns in a row.
And in this game, we watched the power of Ruined Halo, and that's a card you don't really get to see that often.
True story.
And Craig picked apart his opponent's hand, left him with 2 copies of the same card, and then was able to use Ruined Halo to just, it essentially blanked those 2 cards.
Oh, Scavenging Ooze, not good enough. Yep, there's the handshake. Craig Wesco, 2-1 winner in round 6. He moves to 6-0.